Hello fellow astrologers, and welcome back to our next set of videos in our basic birth chart series, CD2 Sara's birth chart reading. In this video, CD2MP, we're going to go over the chart interpretation for all of her signs in the mid-planets, which are Jupiter and Saturn. In our last video, CD2IP, we went over our chart interpretation of all the signs of Sara's inner planets, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. So the mid-planets are known as the major benefic and the major malefic because Jupiter is the planet of luck and fortune, and Saturn is a planet of discipline and authority and limitation. So in this case, Jupiter's right here, and it's right there on the cusp of Scorpio. And Saturn is right over here in Libra, right in the middle of Libra. With Scorpio and Jupiter, you have the penetrating search for truth, power, and other greater meanings and depth of spirituality. And with Libra and Saturn, you take a balanced approach to responsibilities and connections in relationships. So let's go over here and do a reading of the actual paragraph, and then we'll get into a little deeper dive as to what Scorpio and Jupiter means. Scorpio and Jupiter deepen Sara's search for truth, power, and meaning. She grows through emotional depths, self-discovery, and transformation, often feeling her greatest expansion comes from surviving life's challenges. Retrograde motion internalizes this wisdom, turning faith into introspection and resilience. Her generosity comes from empathy and understanding, not from display. Spiritual growth unfolds as she learns to trust her instincts and embrace renewal after endings. So, Jupiter represents expansion, how we learn from life and where we find faith in something bigger than us. It's about spiritual growth and expansion and where we find our luck in life and where we expand our wisdom in life. And it's where we find faith in something that is bigger than us. So people with Jupiter and Scorpio grow through depth and transformation and emotional honesty. Scorpio is very much like the detective sign, and it's really into going to the depths. So it isn't just surface level optimism, it's growth through truth, even when it's uncomfortable. It's going to take the time to find the penetrating depths. Scorpio is also very connected with mysticism. So people with this placement are attracted to mystery, psychology, spirituality, or anything that reveals what's hidden beneath the appearance. So Jupiter's also in retrograde here, so the process can be sometimes turned inward, like a spiritual growth often happening privately through introspection and self-confrontation. Scorpio's not afraid to face the darker side of truth. So when life pushes this sign to face their fears, they actually become stronger and more compassionate. Scorpio has amazing intuition. So this placement brings an intuitive ability to sense motives and patterns, almost like a sixth sense of what is real. Scorpio Pluto has a belief system built on transformation, with a fall, a rise, an evolution, and a repeat. Each cycle expands the soul even more. The true gift of this placement is wisdom through experience. Jupiter in Scorpio doesn't just believe, they know. Okay, so now let's move on from the planet of expansion to the planet of limitation, Saturn. Fortunately for Sara, her Saturn's in Libra, which is the exalted position. An exalted position tends to be the second best position you can have next to an actual ruling position, which would be Capricorn. But in this case, they take a balanced approach. So let's go ahead and read from the paragraph and see what it has to say, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more afterwards. With Saturn in Libra, Sara's life lessons centers on fairness, commitment, and the responsibilities of relationship. She approaches partnerships with gravity and long-term focus, understanding that true harmony takes work. This Saturn placement brings diplomacy, discipline, and a strong sense of justice, but also a tendency to over-accommodate before learning balance. Over time, she becomes a wiser mediator, one who builds enduring alliances grounded in respect, patience, and integrity. Okay, so Saturn is the planet of structure and self-mastery. It shows where we build our backbone over time. It gives us the lessons that we need to have, but not necessarily the lessons we want to have. And that's part of the reason why it can be limiting, because it forces us into learning those lessons. So Saturn in Libra brings lessons around relationships, fairness, and emotional equilibrium. Learning how to balance their own needs with those of others, and how to stay true to themselves while keeping harmony. Which is part of what makes this the exalted position, because it's a balanced approach to discipline, not trying to overdo it one way or the other. This placement often gives a strong sense of ethics and a deep sense of justice. They want things to really feel right, not just look right. They have a natural ability to create order through understanding. But early in life, it can feel like pressure. They have like this sense that they must keep the peace, even when it's hard. But over time, they learn that balance doesn't really mean perfection. It means setting boundaries, having clarity, and self-respect. But one thing to always remember, Saturn rewards efforts. So as a Saturn Libra matures, their relationships become their greatest teachers and their legacy of wisdom. They're the kind of person that build bridges that actually last because of fairness, structure, and love all working together. So to go ahead and sum these both up, the mid-planets Jupiter and Saturn show how we grow beyond our personal self and begin shaping our life story. If the inner planets were to describe how we experience life, these two explain what we learn from it. Jupiter in Scorpio expands through emotional truth. They grow by facing their depths, transforming pain into purpose, and find meaning in what others may avoid. And Saturn in Libra gives structure to that growth. It's the steady hand that turns lessons into balance, commitment, and integrity. When you put them together, they create a rhythm where Jupiter opens the door to experience and Saturn builds a foundation to hold it together. Because this Jupiter says trust the process and go deeper, while the Saturn says yes, but stay grounded while we do so. This dynamic together makes a person a seeker and a builder, someone who believes in potential but knows it must be earned through discipline. The mid-planets are like a bridge between the inner world and the outer world. They mature the person into the wisdom that can be shared. And I think that pretty much sums up these two planets together. Stay tuned for the next video, CD2GP, as we move forward into the generational planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. We'll see how that personal mastery connects Sara to the larger patterns in her generation and the collective destiny. And if you'd like to do a deeper dive on any of these topics, we have Google links here that you can actually research what Google has to say and other websites about Jupiter and Scorpio, or just Scorpio or Jupiter separately. The same for Libra and Saturn, and Libra or Saturn separately. And we also have a series of videos, if you click on one of these links, that will take you to videos where we talk about these subjects more in depth. If you want to go over to our Patreon, you can pick up a copy of this PDF that allow you to do a further reading and do the deeper dive for yourself. Thank you. We hope you have enjoyed this video from our Astrology Keyring series. If you like the content, please like, follow, and share with your friends. Thank you for watching, and have a blessed journey.